So somebody asked this question, or they made this observation, and they kind of were saying things about how like kind of like almost maybe kind of a complaint, but maybe more disappointment or something. They asked why why are lyrics in most songs very simple and about basic concepts like love, sex, or drugs and things like that. And then they kind of asked like why aren't there more songs about like philosophy and stuff like that, deeper things, and they use the term meaningful, and that's kind of like the term that they use that really stuck out to me and gave me prompted me really to want to talk about this right now. So, and but prompted me to ask this question. Right, the question is, and I don't have an answer for this necessarily, but it's something for everyone to think about. You guys can answer this question as well. Are song lyrics better or more effective the vaguer they are? And like the reason I ask this question and personally maybe feel this way, um, like from I would say objectively speaking, it's harder to make a song that's more concrete, that has a more concrete idea, um, where each line is chronologically dependent on the prior line. So like this line makes sense, and then the next line makes sense in relation to the prior line, but it only makes sense because there's a prior line talking about something, right? Like for many songs, what you can actually just do is as long as they have like the same rhyme scheme, you can flip lines in the song. You can put them in like any order, and it will just make as much. It will make as much sense. This isn't the case for everything. Sometimes there's two lines that kind of go together, but it's very rare that every single line in a song has to be in that order for it to make sense, right? This is the case for stories, right? Any if you're telling a story through a song, then chances are the vast majority of lines are going to be chronologically dependent. They're going to have chronological dependence. That is much harder to write about than vague stuff and things that are, again, less concrete, more abstract, more vague. But just because something is more difficult to do doesn't mean that it's better than the things that are simpler to do. Like, because the way I feel about it is like when songs have more vague lyrics, open to personal interpretations, right? That gives you the chance to put your own creativity on it. That allows you the chance to relate it to some feeling you have or some experiences that you have in your life. Like there's more flexibility and creative input on the listener's end. Because I mean, and I can speak from I only speak for myself when I say this, but I mean, I'm sure it's something the vast majority of people do. When I listen to songs and there's certain lyrics in them that, I mean, basically, I will superimpose my experiences onto the lyrics of other songs. I'm gonna give a couple examples. Like, there's that one song, what is it, "Running Up That Hill" by Kate Bush, right? Like, if only could make a deal with God, I something like get him to swap our places, like that song. Um, I don't even know what the fuck that song's about. Like I don't know what the intended meaning from the author about that song is. Like it's the lyrics, in my opinion, super vague. And so, and then there's like that metaphor about like running up the road, running up the hill. What does that mean? Well, I mean, when I listen to this song, there are certain events and feelings that come to my mind. It allowed the vagueness of the lyrics allowed me to input my own meaning onto the song. Another good example is that song "Wherever I Lay My Hat" by Paul Young. I believe that's a cover of another song, but I like the Paul Young version. I believe that So the lyrics in that song are mildly vague. I mean, there's vagueness to them, but I think the song is about being a player. But like, it's not super explicit. So like, when I listened to that song, when I heard it for the first time, and when I still listen to it, right? I don't. I mean, I'm not a player. You know what I'm saying? Um, but what it makes me think of is my time living nomadically, like moving from place to place to place in different country, and I mean that's just what it reminds me of. My experiences of that. That's how I relate to that song. And there's another song by Paul Young that's a good example. What is it? What is it called? Every time you go away, every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. Right? That song. I don't know what that song's actually about, but um, like what the intended meaning is. Because again, I impose my own meanings onto these songs. With every time you go away, right? You take a piece of me with you. Like when I hear that song, when I heard it for the first time, you know what it meant to me. Right? I thought about one of my very close friends who committed suicide, and that's what that song means to me. I think that's what that song means to me. I don't know what the song's supposed to be about. I mean, it's like we all have very unique experiences on this earth. What's meaningful to us could be kind of rare to be meaningful to somebody. And so vague song lyrics, I mean, we can superimpose our feelings and experiences onto that. So, I don't think that simple and vague and genericish song lyrics are a bug or laziness. I think that they are the feature. Granted, it is easier to write um, these simple generic songs that are not again not have no chronological dependence and that use a very vague and highly subjectively interpretable metaphors. What does it mean to make a deal with God, to change places with someone, and to run down a road and run up a hill? It's very vague. But that vagueness, I think the vagueness is a feature. I don't know, songs that have more concrete lyrics and their intended meanings are very clear and much more objectively interpretable. Again, harder to do from artistic perspective, from a skill perspective rather. It takes a lot more skill. But I mean, my feeling is that it's just a case of the easier road is being the more effective one. Anyway, yeah, so that's just a kind of the question I have for everybody here. Something for you guys to think about. If the vague if vagueness in lyrics is a good thing, like if it is better than being more concrete as a general rule. Again, this recently came up because someone was talking about it, but it's actually a discussion that my friend brought up with me like 6 years ago. He's the one who really put me on to this idea that lyrics being vague is a good thing. Because before then, like my whole conception was like, nah, man, these lyrics are simple and easy, and lyrics should be like very philosophically thought provoking or political or telling again chronological stories, um, have something interesting to say in a very concrete way. But when I really think about the songs that mean the most to me and that I relate to the most, they all have most of them have super vague lyrics, right? Unless what they're talking about in a concrete way is something that I can relate to. But usually it's the vaguer stuff. The vague lyrics have more potential. And what songs do you relate to the most? Do you relate to songs that have vague lyrics and do you superimpose your meanings and your experiences and memories onto them? Or do you prefer things that are more concrete?